Or 1. My student's message. Hello, teacher. While studying and imitating Richard Tucker, I encountered the song E Tevria Vasa. In his version, the final note ends on a natural la naturale. My larynx rose, which reminded me that I hadn't built my sound on breath support. But this time, I didn't give up. I stopped, took a deep breath, and then only practiced the last two notes, a natural D and a natural la naturale. For a tenor, these belong to the middle and high range, our daily bread. My response: very good. You are studying Richard Tucker's version of this song. In my opinion, although I haven't heard you sing yet, you have realized that when singing high notes, your larynx tends to rise. Recognizing your shortcomings and correcting them yourself is a good thing. However, based on your current singing technique, you actually need to lower your larynx even when singing in the middle range. As I mentioned last time, if your larynx rises for high notes, it indicates that your middle range singing is also incorrect. In other words, your middle voice is still primarily driven by the larynx, just directed downward. This is the same method used by the three tenors and almost all tenors today, but it is incorrect. If your middle range voice is positioned in the throat, then when singing higher notes, the airflow will inevitably be controlled by the throat, which will lead to a raised larynx. What I want to emphasize is that the issue is not only with your high notes, but also with your middle range. Both your middle and high notes have the same problem of a raised larynx and an overly high vocal placement. Have 3. My student's message. I have been singing with the smallest possible volume for almost 3 months now, so I have realized the higher the pitch, the smaller the volume must be, because the higher the pitch, the more breath is required. When I think about inhaling air instead of pushing air out and clearly visualize my audience being inside my abdomen rather than outside, my larynx finally lowers. As a result, the metallic ring in my voice becomes even stronger. 4. My response: you must continue to reduce your singing volume. This will make it easier to feel abdominal support. You said, the higher the pitch, the smaller the volume must be, because the higher the pitch, the more breath is required. This statement is not entirely precise. When singing high notes more accurately, the breath support must be stronger, and you need to apply greater pressure to the lower chest or lower abdomen. Of course, you may not fully realize the importance of this yet. Please do not misunderstand. Singing high notes does not necessarily require an increase in airflow to the resonance chambers. Instead, the breath column inside your body must be narrowed. When singing middle notes, the breath column in the chest is relatively broad. However, when singing high notes, it must be narrowed and focused towards the head resonance behind the soft palate. So it is not simply that more breath is needed. Rather, upward movement of breath from the lower chest to the head cavity must become more forceful. My student said, when I think about inhaling air instead of pushing air out, and more clearly imagine my audience being in my abdomen rather than outside, my larynx finally lowers. As a result, the metallic ring, squillo, in my voice has become much stronger. The descent of my larynx is not very significant yet, but it starts to lower on the note before the high note, which has never happened before at these pitches. It can even lower on a natural B, si naturale. However, starting from a natural C, do naturale, it rises again. I've only tried twice because I'm afraid of making a wrong movement. Clearly, from that pitch onward, my body needs to make some different adjustments, but I don't yet know what they are. However, I am determined to find a way. My response 3, you said, inhaling air instead of pushing air out. But strictly speaking, what you are doing is singing the sound inward into the body, awakening full body resonance. Don't worry about whether you are inhaling or exhaling air. These theories are still not fully understood by humanity. For example, I don't need to push my voice forward, nor do I need to pull it back as if inhaling while singing. I can simply place the voice gently on my chest. Is that possible? Absolutely. Once you develop a wide breath column within your body and train your front and back space for depth, you can place the sound lightly in your chest, just like Caruso did. Many online teachings misunderstand this concept. They tell people not to push the voice but to inhale it instead, yet they don't even understand how to do it. My friend Carlos Gongora, a diligent researcher, still doesn't know how to inhale while singing. How is it done? These people mistakenly believe that there are only two ways of vocal production. One, pushing from the throat, like the three tenors, or two, singing with an inhaled approach. But how exactly? They don't understand. In reality, there aren't just two choices. It's not about pushing or inhaling. I can neither push nor inhale. I can simply place the sound gently on my chest. Isn't that also possible? My students said, I just wanted to report my progress to you, which is that my breath is indeed improving. If I use falsetto, whether it's high or super high notes, my larynx lowers. This never happened before. To summarize, in today's practice, my larynx started to lower, and the voice has become brighter and more metallic than before, but it's still not completely free. This is because the breath is hitting the hard palate, not the soft palate. This is still a problem I need to solve, but I believe that with time and under your guidance, I will definitely find the method to unlock it. Thank you very much, teacher. My response 4. My opinion is that you shouldn't focus too much on the pitch and how it should be. Instead, direct your energy towards understanding how Tucker sings his middle voice. Sing each phrase correctly, paying attention to the vibrato count, the resonance areas, and what resonators he uses for each note. Is the sound forward, backward, or in the middle? Where exactly is he applying the breath support, and how does it affect his middle and high notes? Analyze his voice carefully. That's the primary thing you should focus on. You are definitely better than before, no doubt. The question is how closely you can approach Tucker's technique. Which notes are you close to, and which ones aren't quite there? As for the online theories, they may have some correct parts, but when you talk about the breath hitting the hard or soft palate, my opinion is that neither should happen. If the breath is hitting, it means the throat is pushing the sound, which is wrong. Your breath should not hit either the hard or soft palate, but instead, it should explode from your abdomen and chest. Above the vocal cords, it should be controlled to make the explosive sound gentler, even lyrical. That's true breath support